Hey guys, so we're going to do two things today. We're going to do a get ready with me video, and I'm also going to do a first impressions of the new Maybelline Colossal Chaotic Mascara. So if you like product reviews, you're all set, and if you like get ready with me videos, you're all set. So let's get into it, because these types of videos have a tendency to go very long, so I don't want to start rambling at the beginning or we're going to be in big trouble. Okay, so the very first thing I always do is moisturize my lips with an EOS lip balm. That way when I get to the end of the makeup process, the lip product will go on nicely because my lips will have had a chance for this to really sink in. Okay, and the next product I use is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Treatment. I mentioned this in a video recently that this is supposed to be a dark spot treatment, and I kind of use it on any sort of spot that's there. Just give it a twist to get the product going through the chamber inside there, and I just kind of dab it on any old kind of spot that I would like to fade or conceal. Like there's a red spot right there, and you know, freckles, red spots, anything that I see that I just would like to go away. Yeah, and I just kind of give it a dab with my finger to blend it in a little bit. There's a freckle right there. So yeah, I think it's fading things out a little bit, but I'm not really sure. Okay, the next thing I use is Benefit Ooh La Lift. This is a under eye dark circle treatment product, and it's getting really down there, but I like to use every little bit because this stuff is expensive. So I just put it right on that dark circle and then take my little finger and just blend it in, and see it just kind of lightens up that area a little bit. Then the next thing I do is my foundation. This is NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation, and my shade is Mont Blanc. This is a very liquidy foundation, so you have to shake it up really well. And it has a pump on it, which is always nice. Now, when I first bought this foundation, I was using my fingers all the time. Now I'm using a brush. It goes on fine with a brush too. The only downside to using a brush is you have a tendency, for whatever reason, to put too much on, which, you know, you don't want to have too much foundation on because then it's going to look cakey. So you have to kind of restrain yourself from putting too much on. So the brush that I've been using lately for this is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, and no, maybe we're not going to be using that because it feels like it's still wet from being washed yesterday, so I don't think that would be a good idea. Alright, well, let's switch to something else then. Let's switch to the Sephora Pro Airbrush Pro Flawless Airbrush, and this is number 56. This is a great brush also, and this one is dry, so let's use that. So I'm just going to pump this one pump at a time onto my hand, because if I pump more than one pump, that's when I tend to put too much on and then it gets cakey. So I'm just taking like the edge of what is there, and I'm just going to start on my forehead, blending it really well up into the hairline. How many times have you seen somebody put their foundation on and then they have like a white streak around the edge where their hair meets. Not a pretty look. So yeah, make sure you blend it all the way up. Next, I'm just going to go down my nose. And definitely putting a lot on my chin because my chin gets very red. This foundation covers redness really well. So if you have issues with redness on your skin, and you'll notice I didn't even use a primer. You don't need a primer with this. It just goes on really well, and because it covers redness, I don't even use a redness primer anymore. The less amount of products that I'm using on myself, the better. Okay, let's do one more pump and start working on the face area. They say one drop does your whole face. No. You know, if you have perfect skin, maybe, but I don't think the average person is just going to use one drop. I used 2 pumps today, and 2 pumps is about right. If you do 3, it starts to look cakey. You notice I did my ears too, because I don't want my ears to be a different color than the rest of my face, and I take it right down my neck for the same reason. Most people have a tendency for their face and their neck to be 2 different colors. Some people, their face is darker, some people, their face is lighter, depending on whether they self-tan or that type of thing. But with me, my face just tends to be red compared to my body. So I just try to make sure that everything is blended out really well. And one thing that I forgot to do that I've been doing lately. Alright, I'm gonna try to get like as little, like just a drop on there. Yeah, I've been doing this lately, and I've been putting it on my eye area, and I feel like my eyeshadows go on really well over this foundation instead of using like a colored base. If I'm not going to use a colored base, then I like to put just a drop of the foundation on and use that as a base. I have fairly dry skin, so if you don't have dry skin, then you know, use whatever you would normally use for an eyeshadow primer, because if you have normal to oily skin, then you don't want to use foundation because then your eyeshadows might crease. But if you have dry skin, just try using a drop of your foundation as an eyeshadow primer, and it will keep that area from getting dry from the eyeshadows. Okay, so we're all set with that, and next I'm going to move on to concealer. I've been putting, I always list the products that I use in the description box, and I've been putting discontinued in parentheses when I write this in the description box. It's the Maybelline Mineral Power Natural Perfecting Concealer in the shade Ivory. But it's still on the Maybelline website, but I haven't seen this in stores in a long time, so I think it's discontinued. But yeah, they still have it on the Maybelline website. I'm going to use an e.l.f. concealer brush. And just put a little bit of that. I like to do one eye at a time. Well, I don't hear anyone cutting their grass today because I think it's supposed to rain. I do hear my air conditioner running because it's extremely humid today. Okay, I had been setting my concealer and Benefit Ooh La Lift with powder, but I stopped doing that because I felt like the powder was increasing the amount of lines underneath my eyes, so I don't set it with a powder anymore. I don't want to do anything to make more lines under there, so I just let it set and by itself and don't do anything else. Okay, the next thing I do is I take a Maybelline Fit Me foundation stick, and I have this in the shade Pure Beige. I just went up a few shades from what I would normally take, and I use this sort of as a face contour primer. I draw like my face contour on like that, and then I put NYX HD Blush in Taupe over it. But first I blend this in a little bit, and I'm just going to use the same brush that I use for the foundation. I just feel like, you know, it gives you better coverage and it's easier to blend out the Taupe blush. When you use this underneath it, it just blends out nicer. Okay, what am I looking for here? I'm looking for a brush to blend out that Taupe blush. I'm going to use a MAC, I think this is a 189. It's a small dual fiber brush, small stippling brush. So I'm just stippling some onto the brush right now. So this is just going to give you a very subtle contour. Even though I use two products, it still ends up being subtle. Because this is like a really cool toned taupe. And it blends out really easily over that stick foundation. Okay, so my face contour is done. So the next thing I'm going to do is blush, and I'm going to use this Clinique Cheek Pop blush in Berry Pop. And I'm going to use a Real Techniques number 300 brush. This is from the Bold Metals collection. So I'm just going to kind of tap that in there. And then I'm just going to tap it on my face. So I just want, I don't like a lot of blush. I like it to be fairly subtle. And I'm going to go right along the line of where that contour is. Okay, and next I'm going to do highlight. I'm going to use an e.l.f. fan brush, and I'm going to use the highlight shade in the Wet n Wild Color Icon Blush and Glow Trio in Sunset Junction. This was limited edition, but I really love this highlight shade. When I'm going to do cool toned makeup, I really like this. So we're just going to go right along the top of my cheekbones there. Did you notice how that fan brush just fits in that section perfectly? Okay, now when I'm doing cool tone makeup, sometimes I like to skip bronzer because they're all cool tone shades that I'm using. So I don't want to warm up my face if I'm doing cool everything else. So we're going to skip the bronzer today, which is just as well because then it will save some time. So let's see, what have we got next? Okay, next we're going to do eyes. I'm going to use this. I haven't used this in a while, but I really like it. I came across it today when I was looking for something else in a drawer. This is the Lorac Downtown Drama palette. This was exclusive to Nordstrom Rack. If you've never been to a Nordstrom Rack and you have one within driving distance, it's worth checking out. You can get some really great deals there. This was... They don't have this anymore. I bought this, I don't know, maybe a year ago, but this was like $12, I think, for this palette, and I really like it. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to use a MAC 239 brush, and I'm going to put this salt and pepper type shade on my lids. Yeah, they had two of these palettes. They had a cool tone one and a warm tone one. And when I saw these colors, I was like, oh yeah. Not really wild about that matte purple though. That shade is kind of dry and not easy to work with, so I don't really like that shade, but I especially like the first three colors in this palette. But mostly what they get for makeup at Nordstrom Rack is a bunch of discontinued limited edition things. But this particular palette and one other one was created especially for Nordstrom Rack, and it wasn't discontinued from anything, you know, it was made for them. Okay, the white shade at the beginning, I'm just going to stick my ring finger in there and do the brow bone highlight. I really like doing my brow bone highlight with my ring finger. I just find it a lot easier and it just blends better than any brush could. I start at the arch and then work my way out. And then this middle shade, which is kind of like taupey dark gray, I'm going to use that as my crease shade. And for a brush, I think today I'm going to use this just because I don't think I've talked about it recently. This is an e.l.f. contour brush, and it's either $1 or $3. I guess it would be $3 because it's a black handle brush. This is amazing for the crease, you guys, and it's dirt cheap. So I'm going to put a little bit of that on the brush and put that in the crease. I go back and forth about what types of crease brushes I like, because I like a lot of different styles of crease brushes. I think a lot of it has to do with the shadow that you're using, you know, the texture of the shadow. The texture and the intensity of the pigment. Because I also like big fluffy brushes for the crease, or Sometimes I like to use like pencil type brush or a big, dense, thick brush. It just depends on the shadows. These shadows are very soft, so I like this type of brush. I really like Lorac eyeshadows, and I don't know why I don't use them more often. They have the most wonderful texture to them. Oh, I know why I don't use them more often, because they're in palettes. I really prefer eyeshadows to be singles. That way I can mix and match them and come up with my own ideas for a look. Palettes, I feel, are, they stifle your creativity, because usually you can look at a palette and you kind of know what you would do with it, or you're somewhat limited to what you could do with it, especially a small palette like this. I mean, how many different looks can you really get with that few colors? But with singles, you know, I think I take more risks as far as what I put with what. These shadows are so nice. Really, really like them. Okay, and another thing that I like to do is take this brush, which is a Zoeva pencil brush. It doesn't have a number or anything on it, it just says pencil. And really what it is a very small pencil brush. It's pretty unique. I don't have anything else that is shaped like this, that's that size. Every other pencil brush that I own is much larger. And I like to take some of the darkest color. Actually, no, you know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to take that salt and pepper type shade and put some on my brush, and then I'm going to go along the lower lash line from the beginning towards the middle. Okay, then I'm going to go into the darkest color, and I'm going to put that on the outside part of my lower lash line and stop it right in the middle where it meets that other color. I like that. You know what though? It needs a little bit of the lighter color, and I can't use this brush now because it's got the dark color on it. So what are we gonna do? I'll have to use this, the edge of this other shader brush, so I can get a little bit more of that lighter color on there. Because I want it to match this one. Okay. Alright, that's enough with the eyeshadows. Let's move on to eyeliner. I'm going to use a Maybelline Master Kajal Cream Kohl eyeliner in Onyx Rush. And I'm going to tightline with this. And I'm just going to leave the shadows on the bottom and not do an eyeliner on the bottom because I kind of like the eyeshadow look with no eyeliner. Once you put eyeliner with that, I don't like it as much. Alright, next I'm going to do my brows, and lately I've been using the e.l.f. eyebrow kit in Ash, and you get a cream ash, light ash brown product on one side, and then the other side has like a beige, ashy beige powder. And then this is just some product that came with a Wet n Wild palette, and it's got a nice little brush on it. I'm going to use that to do my brows. So I start off by taking some of that cream product and just brush that through my brows. I wish this eyebrow looked like this one. But the hair grows where it wants to grow, you know, and it just doesn't have like as much of the right shape to it. And you can't really, I guess, you can't control where the hair grows. Okay, my camera just cut off, so I think you might have missed the end of what I was saying there. I was just saying that this mascara is very average. I don't think there's anything really special about it or different than most mascaras. I mean, it's not clumping up or anything like that, and it's coating my lashes nicely. But I don't think it's anything you have to rush out and buy. But it's okay. Yeah, it seems to be doing a pretty good job. Easy to work with. Yeah, and I just keep adding more, and it's not clumping or anything. And it just keeps building. So it's pretty nice. It's a wet formula, which I like, but you know, most mascaras are pretty wet when you first open them up, and then they just dry up as they get older. But this layer is really nice. It's not clumping at all. So I guess you can just keep building it until you get the intensity that you want. The more I layer this, the more impressed I am with it, because with so many mascaras, if you just kept adding more over and over like that, it would start to be a big cakey mess, and it's not. So yeah, and it's not, doesn't seem to be transferring from what I can see. Yeah, so very nice. It takes some work to get it on there, but the end result looks great. Okay, now if you saw yesterday's video where I talked about the Maybelline ColorBlur Cream Matte Pencils, I'm going to do a different shade of these today so you can see, you know, what the different shades look like. Yesterday I had on one of the My Lips But Better colors. Today I'm going to do the magenta one, because this is the one that was sold out that I had a hard time finding, and there's a reason for that. It's a beautiful, beautiful magenta. But I wanted you to be able to see how easy these are to apply. So you just twist it up from the bottom, and you don't have to use a liner or anything like that. This more or less is a lipstick slash liner in one. Just glides on, very, very smooth and creamy and moisturizing. Uh-oh. But it stains, so if you make a mistake, get it off right away. Okay, so that's the magenta one. I love this shade. Ugh. Love it, love it. It was worth, you know, the hunt for it. Okay, you guys, so that's my get ready with me video. That's my first impressions of the Maybelline Colossal Chaotic. Did you notice when I first put it on, I was like, it's just, you know, it's okay, nothing great. But as I built it up, I really like it. I think it's nice. I think it really makes my lashes pop and look big. And didn't cake up or anything. Really easy to apply. But yeah, it just, you know, it takes time. It's not going to go on a lot at one time, but that's probably just as well because then it's going to go on more evenly. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time. Bye!